Rob, overhauling the Bok management has also been sort of cited as a knee-jerk reaction, and that the South African faithful need to persevere. And I mean, I'm sure the South African faithful are pretty much fed up, and they want heads to roll. But just looking at the performance on Saturday, and just looking at the body language and the attitude of the players, there's certainly something wrong in that change room.
Yes, that's right.
And how do you fix that?
I don't think you can override just how grim the Springbok performances have been this year. As Garen said, there has not been one single performance where you felt the Springboks are on course, to sort of explore new boundaries or anything. This entire season, all the wins, all 4 wins that they've had have been really sort of eked out. Remember the Australian game at Loftus where they couldn't score a try, yet eked out a win, which was we all felt hugely relieved, because they've looked so vulnerable in so many matches that any win has been manna from heaven, quite frankly. This really was rock bottom. I think that any thoughts that yes, you need to give some sort of continuity to a coaching regime. Remember that Alistair was appointed at very unsatisfactorily short notice, which I've got to say I do feel for him in that respect. He came in very close to the start of a new campaign, had a lot to do in very limited time. But it's just not working out. I'm afraid that the weight of their awfulness, I suppose, is really needs to be the bottom line here. It's been a wretched season. This really was the sort of dubious cherry on top, losing to an Italian side that was pretty fragile on confidence, had been routed by the All Blacks a week earlier. But you could sense just from the kickoff that and the sort of passion that they showed immediately, that they believed that the Springboks were vulnerable. Everybody knows the Springboks are vulnerable now. I think Wales will firmly believe that the Springboks are vulnerable. I see that they're already trying to spin a line of watch out for the wounded Bok. I'm not too sure how many people believe that this wounded Bok is going to be capable of limping into sort of suddenly sort of revitalised combat at Millennium Stadium. Remember, we lost to Wales the last time we played at the Millennium Stadium. We've beaten them subsequently in a World Cup quarterfinal. So that's something. But the last Millennium Stadium game was 12-6 to Wales a couple of seasons ago. So the Welsh don't have any sort of spooks about playing South Africa, and there could be more hardship. And the cruel thing is, you've got a lot of people saying, I hope we lose to Wales, which is a very sad thing to hear. But people are saying that because they think perhaps, as Garen said, that it might bring change. It might be the catalyst that brings change. That if we do beat Wales, everybody will say, oh, look, we're on the up, which it would be very much the last thing on a lot of people's minds. I don't think, however well they might play against Wales, I don't think we've seen any signs this year, collectively, to assume that things are sort of heading for a sort of upward trajectory. So it really is. It's been an awful year. I mean, as rugby scribes, I can't tell you how grim it's been, having to find kind of dramatically poor adjectives rather than the superlatives that you'd love to be able to bring out from time to time to describe individual performances, the performance of the team, etc. And that's just been frighteningly non-existent this year. It's a very, very sad state of affairs, and the rugby public are genuinely sort of hurtful.
And sadly, fans are forced to watch the other internationals in New Zealand, Ireland, and France, Australia, just to sort of get their dose of sort of rugby action, to sort of hit the spot. Absolutely.
I mean, that Ireland All Blacks game was just on a different planet to South Africa. It was sort of Premiership versus Championship. That's how bad it was. You just, within the first 2 minutes of that Ireland-New Zealand game, I really got a sense that this is going to be a superior product. That this is you could just see well-coached teams going at each other hammer and tongs. We must give the Irish a lot of credit. I thought they might get absolutely blitzed by the All Blacks. That sort of redemption mission would drive them so fiercely that they might actually overrun Ireland. I mean, so great is this All Black side. But full credit to the Irish. I thought they put up a tremendous fight. They lost 21-9. And yes, it was 3-0, but that was mainly because of the All Blacks' ability to suddenly just spark something out of nothing with a bit of hand speed brilliance or something. But the Irish went hammer and tongs, to the point that they almost deserved to lose by a much tighter margin than the eventual 21-9. And they, frankly, would have beaten the Springboks. I'm pretty confident that they would have beaten the Springboks convincingly on the day, even though they lost to New Zealand. So that's just how far we've fallen behind New Zealand as well, which is a concern all of its own.